is called Too Dry for a Toad. So it says this spadefoot toad lives in the desert. It almost never rains there, but the toad needs water to lay eggs, so new toads will grow. How does it survive in its hot, dry habitat? It races against the sun. So, what kind of toad is this? What's its name?
Toad.
What do you think, Wyatt? A spadefoot toad. So that's a very interesting name. I've never heard of a spadefoot toad. So let's listen, watch this video.
A habitat is a home. Look outside your window. What do you see? Is there a forest or a pond near where you live?
Yes.
Forests and ponds are two common habitats. A habitat is a place where plants and animals live and grow. There are many different kinds of habitats in the world. You may have seen grasslands. This habitat is flat and stretches far into the distance. Animals like bison eat the grass. But not all habitats are so flat. The mountain habitat is tall and rocky. Only tough plants like moss can survive up here. Animals that live in the mountains have to be good climbers. Don't look down. A desert is a very dry habitat. It hardly ever rains here. Desert plants have to survive without much water. Plants like cactuses can live a long time without rain. The desert heat is tough on animals. Many of them dig holes underground and stay there all day. At night, when it's cooler, they come out. Finding water is not a problem in the rainforest. It rains a lot here. This habitat is full of trees, flowers, vines, and other plants. The rainforest is also full of animals, birds, frogs, monkeys, and insects live here. Now let's go into the ocean. In some parts of the ocean, bright fish swim around colorful coral reefs.
A lot.
Seaweed drifts in the waves. As you go deeper into the water, it gets colder and darker. Some fish make their own light. Now let's look at one last habitat, the freezing, icy polar habitat. Here, it can get as cold as 100 degrees below zero. It's windy and snowy. The ground is frozen for most of the year. These habitats all have one thing in common. They are all homes for plants and animals. Now think of your favorite wild animal. What habitat does it live in?
Okay.
Which habitat would you like to visit?
Ocean.
Talk about it.
The rainforest.
See you soon.
Okay, so our main word on this page was habitat. And so a habitat is a place or a home where animals or plants live. So I want you to think about all the different habitats that were in the video and other habitats that you know of. What would be your favorite habitat that you would like to go to, or your favorite habitat where animals will live? Hayden.
The ocean.
The ocean. Kinsley.
The ocean.
The ocean too. Tyson.
Ocean.
Ocean. Carson.
The rainforest.
The rainforest. Mason.
Jungle.
The jungle. How about Aria?
The rainforest.
The rainforest. Braylon.
Yay, we do buddies there.
Probably rainforest.
Rainforest
we all can do
Person. Person. Abby.
Cover the rainforest because then you can get lots of water and
Definitely.
rainforest.
Why? The mountains?
Oh, dang it.
Alright, Elliot.
Mountains actually. I would like to
Libby.
the ice mountains.
Like the very cold, the ice.
Polar.
Polar. Corla.
Oh, ice flow rainforest.
Rainforest. Braylon, do you have a different one?
Yeah, mountain.
Okay. Kaden.
This is my other one. I would probably visit the rainforest.
Alright, Brooklyn, did I not call you? Okay.
The Atlantic Ocean.
The ocean, be the ocean. Okay. Have I called on Lewis or Lewis? Okay, one more last one.
I basically have to. I want to visit the mountains and the forest.
Alright, last one, Tyson.
There's another one I do want to visit.
Okay, what's that?
The jungle.
Alright. So most of you like the jungle or mountains or the oceans. Those are all really cool habitats. Now let's flip to the inside and let's see why this toad has to race against the sun. The sun is part of its habitat. But as we read this, I want you to think about why the toad has a faster life cycle than other toads in other habitats. Please don't. Okay, all right. We're gonna take turns reading. When I call on you, make sure you read nice and loud. Aria, would you start, please? It's another hot, dry, beats down. It's another hot, dry day in the desert. The bright sun beats down. Raylan, would you continue?
A spacefoot toad rests under the ground. It spends most of the day buried in the sand where the temperature is cooler. It waits there until the time is right for it to come out. Right now the desert is quiet and still, but things are about to change.
Okay, so Raylan, where does it spend most of its day?
Underground.
Underground in the sand. And how come it stays there in the sand?
Because it's hot outside.
It's too hot. It's gotta stay where it's cooler.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And so it needs to wait till it gets cooler at night. But right now,
It's cool.
in the desert, it's quiet and still. Okay, now the desert rain. Kinsley, would you read about the desert rain? Start with a storm.
A storm
Rolls,
rolls in
rain, starts,
to
pour.
This
This is
is a
really
really big
deal.
deal. It
Hardly
hardly ever rains in the
dry
dry desert.
habitat. So it very rarely, it hardly ever rains in the desert habitat, but a storm rolls in. What does that mean? When it says a storm rolls in, what does that mean, Raylan?
Seems like a storm's coming.
It's coming. You can see it kind of coming across the sky or the horizon. Tyson, would you continue up here on the word but? Really loud, Tyson.
But now water flows over the sand. It from
Forms.
forms little ponds,
Ooh, close. Pools. right, Kaden, would you continue reading? The spadefoot
The spadefoot toad
hears
hears the plane thumping on the sand over its head. The sound tells the toad it's time to leave its underground home. It crawls to the surface
Why is it doing that, Kaden? Why do you think it's crawling to the surface?
so it can get the water.
So,
Soaked with the water.
yeah, it needs some water, it needs some rain. And when rain goes into the ground, it seeps, and so it needs to come out. Just like on a rainy day, if you walk down the sidewalk or walk down the road,
there's like
what comes out of the ground, Raylan?
there's like well, what are you talking about?
Like-
'Cause there's multiple.
Okay, you tell me what you're thinking.
Like when there's like little river things on the side of the road.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I was thinking of an animal. So not toads or
Worm.
frogs, but what, Kaden?
Worm.
Worms. So
Oh,
when it
yeah.
rains a lot, we see worms come up, right?
Yeah,
out
I
of
see
the ground.
worms when it even doesn't rain
Right,
because they're under the sidewalk.
right. So these toads are doing the same thing the worms are. They're coming out because they want water and they don't want to get flooded underneath it too. Okay? Do you go the opposite end? This is good. I hope you're staying okay or come off, okay? All right, why do you want to read?
Just as suddenly as the rain started, it stops. The desert sand is wet and covered in puddles. At last there is water in the desert, but it won't be here for long.
Good job. But the puddles won't be there for long because they'll either go into the ground or it'll get so hot that it'll evaporate again.
Evaporate?
What I read? Okay, now we're gonna go on to egg time, and Mason's gonna read nice and loud about the first paragraph.
And time the day
The toad
goes
does
something it can do only after a
rainstorm.
storm. It hops to a puddle and it lays hundreds of eggs in the water.
Okay, so how many eggs is it gonna lay? Hundreds of eggs. And
Probably will make 1,000.
it can only do this after a rainstorm. So if there's no rainstorm, it cannot lay eggs.
Or
Okay.
if it does lay eggs, then they'll just pass away immediately.
Okay, Brooklyn, read the next paragraph right down
I
here.
have to tell you something. I will read it too.
Okay.
But I saw when I was with my dad and he was swimming in a little pond. It was a very clean pond. We saw a turtle and baby frog eggs, and I caught it and put it in a bottle.
Oh, really?
And let it go.
Cool.
It was really cool. It was like those baby toads, and I was
Yes.
they had legs.
Yeah. Were they like tadpoles or were
Yeah,
they?
tadpoles.
They're tadpoles.
And they were like, it had his back legs and his front legs.
So okay, wasn't quite a tadpole then. It was more of a baby frog.
Yeah.
Kaden, just a second, Brooklyn, just a second.
Once
Can you put that away, please?
I saw tadpoles and I looked at them and I didn't want to catch them because I wanted them to grow and live.
I touched them and they were the same if you took them out.
Okay. All right. Now, Brooklyn, would you start with those eggs?
Those eggs will hatch into tadpoles, and those tadpoles will go through a college,
Oh, a chain.
a change called.
Now this is a big word. I'm gonna help you with this word.
It's like a metaphor.
Metamorphosis.
Oh yeah, I actually said that right.
Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis.
I actually said that right. Okay.
Yeah.
Metamorphosis.
Just a second, Brooklyn. People are talking and trying to set up. Try to get Brooklyn. Start with their bodies.
Their bodies will change, and they will go into adult toads, but there's just one problem.
Okay, let's see what the problem is. We're gonna read about the life cycle race? Or would you start, Louis?
The tadpoles need water to live and grow, but the heat from the sun makes the puddles evaporate quickly. That means the water turns into gas and rises into the air. The toads must go through their whole life cycle before the pools dry up.
That is crazy. So, before that water dries up, that pool or that puddle, it must change from a tadpole to a frog.
It
Wow.
probably goes under deeper.
It
Yeah,
could.
it probably goes under.
Okay. So normally a frog goes through the cycle, it takes maybe a couple months, but these guys have to go a little quicker because if that water dries up, they need to be from a tadpole into a frog that can live on the land.
Tadpoles
Okay.
can't live on land.
No, they can't. That's why they have to change into a,
Then
they have,
they'll be
they have to
a
change into a frog or tadpole, frog or a toad.
a tadpole.
I meant a toad.
A tadpole
before-
would not turn into a tadpole.
Right, before it dries up. Addie, have you read yet?
No.
Did you start reading? And then Libby, you're next, okay?
In places where it is always wet, it can take 2 months for tadpoles to become toads. But the desert, there's no time for such a long life cycle, so spadefoot toads have spadefoot toads have a way to survive in the habitat.
Yep, in this habitat. So, a normal frog takes about 2 months. I know what Mrs. Murphy said, but these have a lot shorter time. All right, Libby, would you start down here? Spadefoot,
2 days.
toad,
Toads go through their
metamorphosis,
this way
very,
very quickly to beat the sun. The tadpoles grow into toads in just 8 days.
right here. Okay, stop there, Libby. So, other toads take 2 months, which is like 60 days. These only take 8 days. So that's pretty quick that they change.
puddle dries up.
Wow, and that's how long a puddle could take to dry up too.
Well, what if
Ellie,
it was
have you read
7
yet?
days?
Okay, Ellie is gonna read. Corla, have you read yet? Ellie, wait just a second. Just wait 1 second. And Ellie, you gotta take that class and you gotta read a little bit slower and louder, okay?
Many of the tadpoles will not survive. They will not turn into adults before the water dries up, but some lucky tadpoles will survive and become toads.
Okay, so look at the picture. On the picture, Charlotte, can you read what it says on the picture about the tadpoles? Tadpoles hatch. Tadpoles hatch from eggs,
Sandy
sandy puddle. So this is an example of them hatching in a really sandy puddle. It's full of sand.
Mama doing the
Okay.
hatching.
What?
Can we see mommy doing the hatching?
I don't think they have a video of that unless they do on the next page.
I see an egg. I see an egg that's not
I wish they had a video of it, but I don't think they do on this one.
An egg's not hatched.
I don't want to see
Yeah.
it.
No, there's an egg.
Where? Right here, in the bottom
Yeah.
of the plate.
It's okay.
Oh, I see the egg.
I see it. I know.
Just a second.
Oh, I see an egg.
That one's not
Yeah.
a lucky one. That one might die right away.
Right. A second.
I'm circling.
I'll show you what.
So you guys can see that there's an egg that hasn't even hatched.
I'm 7.
And we have learned that some of those tadpoles or some of those eggs will not survive. Some will not survive, and that's just kind of part of like Raylan,
What's that little video button thing down
it's a dance break.
Can we?
Maybe in a minute. Let's finish this.
Okay, let's dance.
All right, we're on the last paragraph, and then we'll do a dance break. Carla, would you read the last paragraph? Really loud, Carla. They will.
They will go underground where they will stay and safe. Then they will wait until it rains again to start the cycle. When I go with you, cycle again.
Okay, I know she's kind of quiet, so it said they will go underground where they will stay cool and safe. Then they will wait until it rains again to start the whole cycle again, and then it starts all over.
Wait, so
Okay?
what we just read, we have to. Wait, there's a lot
They do
look
multiple
at.
times.
They do 5 parts. Again.
They do it more than that.
All right. If you want to do the dance break, you have to stay by your desk and do it though. Okay? Here we go.
I want to do this. Yeah, what? You guys said violent.
Move like a frog.
I'm not a frog. I don't know how to.
Swim in the water.
I'm sorry, but I'm a frog. I don't know how frogs swim. Yeah, I'm done with this.
Climb a tree.
I can't climb.
I saw a I saw a guy who was green in my house. I'm dead.
Catch that bug.
He's on your desk.
Now leap.
This is
Leap. Let's dance one more time.
Okay, let's dance.
Move like a frog.
Me and Eddie went to the campground together and we saw frogs.
Swim in the water.
I don't know how to do that either.
Mom was at it too.
I'm not a frog. I don't know how to do it.
Do like this.
Climb a tree.
I don't know how to do it.
Hey, look down.
Catch that bug.
I don't have enough like that.
Now
Leave.
leap.
What's in the way?
Oh my God.
You don't know that you should be doing this.
Sit down.
Freeze. You actually hit.
Now take a deep breath in. 1, 2, 3. And let it out. 3, 2, 1. Now, melt to the ground.
Quiet, I'm melting.
I'm melting. Quiet. This is how you actually melt.
Carson, that's not how your desk. All right, unmelt and go back.
I'm flying. John, why are you on my desk?
Here's the deal. We need to finish in 5 minutes. Lewis, you have to finish in 5 minutes or we won't have time to do our St. Patrick's Day our activity. Okay? All right, on the back, it says frogs and toads live all over the world in different habitats. Read the chart to learn more about more frogs and toads. So look at the first one, is the pond. Here, green plants grow all over. It's easy for green frogs or toads to hide from an animal that it wants to eat. So we see these here in Minnesota, because we have lots of ponds, we have lots of lakes, we have lots of green toads. The next one is the rainforest habitat. So like the jungle, the rainforest. Some rainforest frogs have poison on their bodies. Their bright colors stand out, and they also stand for danger or don't eat me.
Yeah.
And then the last
Or
one,
don't touch me.
the backyard habitat.
Already good.
Toads hide during the day. They come out at night to eat bugs. They can eat more than 100 in a night. Thank you, toads. Why are they saying thank you to toads?
Because they hate bugs.
Why do you think, Aria? Thanks to raise your hand.
Because they.
No, I know.
Why are they saying thank you, toads, for eating bugs?
Because they're eating bugs.
Yeah, they're eating the bugs that we have. Okay, now down below on number 1, it says frogs in the blank habitat have colors that stand out. Lewis, is it pond, rainforest, or backyard?
Yes, I knew it.
Okay, number 2, frogs in the blank habitat have colors that help them hide. Mason?
What was it again?
Frogs in the blank habitat have colors that help them hide. No, not that one. Try again.
How was it back there? How would it?
It can.
I knew it.
Good job.
I know it. I already. I
Number
already
three.
said it. What?
Why is it helpful to have toads living in your backyard? They eat grass, they eat bugs, they eat frogs. Ingrid?
I just did it.
What did it does that you frogs?
I know I did.
Awesome. Last one.
I wish I had a
How are pond
frogs.
frogs and rainforest frogs alike? They both have bright colors. They both hibernate. They both have animals that want to eat them. Corla,
They both hibernate.
come check it out and see.
Me and Noah perfect frogs.
She's gonna say they both hibernate.
You're
No?
wrong. It's
Try it again. Try again.
Try
Corla, try again.
Top one. Bottom.
Bottom.
Bottom.